We're gonna be heading out to San Diego Bay today, throwing around the drop shot and see what we can find. Hopefully some bass and halibut, maybe some corvina, but we'll see. Hope you enjoy. So all I'm doing today is working a drop shot Berkeley gulp 4-inch on my SLX and my Omen travel rod, and I'm just casting this thing out as far as I can, letting it sink to the bottom, and then doing a little slow retrieve with some pauses, mostly feeling around to try and see what kind of structure I can find down here. I'm mostly looking for rock piles. There's a lot of eelgrass in this area, so that tended to be a problem with the drop shot. It works better with a weedless. So I'm dragging, looking for rock piles, and I did happen to find a pretty good one up next to this restaurant. So I was able to cast out and just slowly retrieve it in. And you can see there I'm starting to feel with the rod tip, okay, I'm feeling some rocks, and just slowly bouncing it up and over them. When you're using this method of fishing, a lot of your strikes will actually come right after you bounce off a rock. So you see there, touch some rocks, and I'm just slowly kind of bouncing it, twitching it up and over, seeing if I can entice something to come out of the rock. So I pop it up over a rock, and then I feel one come up and slam it. Usually when you're fishing around structure like this, you're catching bass. So we'll see what we got right here. So this guy was fighting hard, trying to get me back in the rock pile, so I kind of knew what it was. But when it came up to the surface, I noticed it was a solid spotted bay bass. Very common in the bays all over Southern California, but super stoked to get on a fish. This was actually a decent one. I didn't have a measuring board, but I'd say he's 12, 13 inches. But there he is, solid spotted bay bass in San Diego Bay. Again, just casting it out, seeing what we can get here. Again, dragging it, looking for some rocks. I know off to the left is where the eelgrass bed is. So I'm twitching it, and I feel a strike, and boom, hit. And he is pulling pretty hard. He ends up actually getting me stuck in the rock here. He grabbed it and went straight in. And he does get me a little bit wrapped up. I think I still got him hooked on. But when I get it up, it is just grass. He did wreck me. Again, casting off to the left, I can kind of see a sandy area there with some rocks underneath, so I'm dragging through there, and I get a hit. Don't get a huge hook set, but still get a solid one. And I start pulling this guy up, but he feels like dead weight, which is usually a sign that it's not a spotty. Spotties fight hard with a lot of head shakes, and as I get him up, it is a solid little halibut. Not big, not legal, but still stoked. There he goes. See you, buddy.
Fish number 2. See you, buddy.
Casting the drop shot back out, looking more in the middle towards where the rock pile was, and going back to it. Haven't needed to move because as the tide came in here, we started to get some good hits, and we're having a blast pulling on these guys. I'm just getting a slow retrieve here, and literally right when I get to the rocks, I start to pop it over, and boom, another good hit. This is semi-finesse fishing because when you get near the rocks, you can kind of slow it down and wait for those line hits. But a lot of times you can get them just on the crank as well. That's why I like this rig. It's very versatile. So I'm pulling them up, and you can tell based on the head shakes it's some sort of bass, most likely going to be a spotty here. And these spotties do really pull really hard, and they're a blast to catch. So I get them up, and it is another solid spotted bay bass. Really fun size. Another decent one. There he is, little beast. And this one we're gonna go full cast to catch here. I just like this angle. So again, casting it out, and you can see I put a 1 ounce weight, so I'm really getting this lure way out there to cover as much ground as I can, because I know past the rock piles where there's sand, I got a chance at a halibut. So I'm just slowly cranking it once it hits the bottom, and we're just working it here, feeling for any nipples, feeling for any structure. I know farther out it is mostly just sand. So I'm just slowly cranking it in, paying attention. I keep looking around because I'm hoping to see some barracuda or some corvina action on the surface, but nothing happened today. So I'm just kind of cranking, keeping it going. All right. And you can just work this lure like this. You can literally just slow crank it all the way in. I do like to slow it down and put some twitches in there, especially when I feel structure. I feel like the spotties like to sit in that structure. So I'm bouncing it on structure. You can see there I'm doing small rod tips like I'm bass fishing. And I get smacked and just absolutely whiff on what was probably a smaller spotty. But I keep twitching because you know there's probably more in the area. Feel another bite, but you could tell this was a good one, and I get a good hook set on this guy. That hit didn't have the tap tap tap, it was more of a thump, and I really do like this angle. But I'm getting a good fight here and just a beautiful sunset session, and I end up landing another solid spotty here. So I'm working him up on this ledge. There's a little platform that I was able to stand up on. You had to climb up on it, but ended up with another solid spotty here for fish number 4. Look at that. That is a good size spotted bay bass. Not a giant, but definitely a solid one. And there it goes. Quick release. All right. Ended up with 4 fish. Had a sick time out here in San Diego. But gonna head home now. Got a long drive back. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe.